The first thing he said to me wasn't hello. It was, "Marry me for 1 year, and I'll save your family." I laughed. Then he slid a thick folder across the cafe table. Inside was a marriage contract and a bank transfer receipt worth more money than I'd ever seen in my life. At the bottom was one condition, written in bold: no falling in love. If only we had known how impossible that rule would become. 3 days earlier, my life had been falling apart. My mother's hospital bills had doubled overnight. My younger brother had dropped out of university to work 2 jobs. Every door I knocked on closed before I could even explain why I needed help. I was sitting outside the hospital, trying to decide which bill I could ignore, when a black luxury car stopped beside me. A tall man stepped out, perfectly tailored suit, cold gray eyes, a face that looked like it had forgotten how to smile. "I've been looking for you," he said. "I'm sorry. Do I know you?" "My name is Adrian Carter." His name meant nothing to me until he handed me his business card. CEO. One of the youngest billionaires in the country. I stared at him. "I think you've mistaken me for someone else." "I haven't." Then he said something that changed my life forever. "I need a wife." 20 minutes later, we were sitting inside a quiet cafe. He explained everything with unsettling calm. His grandfather, the founder of the family empire, had one final wish before transferring ownership. Adrian had to be married, not engaged, not pretending, legally married. For 1 year. "If I refuse," Adrian said, "I lose everything. So why me? You have no connection to my business. I don't even know you." "Exactly." He pushed the contract toward me. "I'll pay every medical expense your family has. Your brother returns to university. You'll receive enough money to rebuild your life." My hands trembled. "There has to be a catch. There are rules." He pointed to the page. "We would live together, appear as a happily married couple, never reveal the agreement, and no romantic involvement, no intimacy, no emotional attachment. This is only business," he said. I signed. The mansion was bigger than the hospital where my mother was recovering. The staff welcomed me as Mrs. Carter. It sounded unreal. Adrian barely spoke. He left before sunrise, returned after midnight.com. A perfect stranger sharing my home. Weeks passed peacefully, until one evening, I found him asleep in his office. His tie loosened, dark circles beneath his eyes. Stacks of unfinished files covered the desk. For the first time, he didn't look like a billionaire.com. He looked exhausted. I quietly placed a blanket over him. The next morning, he looked at me strangely. "You covered me. You looked cold." "No one's done that in years." His voice was softer than usual. It was the first crack in the walls around his heart. Soon, our fake marriage began feeling dangerously real. He remembered how I liked my coffee. I learned he secretly loved terrible romantic movies, but denied it every time. He pretended not to notice when I baked cookies, yet every single one disappeared before morning. One rainy evening, the electricity went out. The mansion fell into darkness. I found him sitting silently by the window. "You don't like storms?" I asked. He hesitated. "My parents died during one." The silence between us became heavy. Without thinking, I sat beside him. Neither of us spoke. Sometimes love begins not with words, but with staying. Months passed. People started calling us the perfect couple. Even I almost believed it. Then she returned. Victoria, elegant, beautiful. Adrian's former fiancé. She walked into a charity gala wearing confidence like a crown. She smiled at me. "So you're the temporary wife." I froze. She knew. Before I could answer, she leaned closer. "He'll never love anyone." Her words echoed in my mind all night. Back home, I confronted Adrian. "You never told me about her." "It wasn't important." "It clearly is," he sighed. "She left me when my company almost collapsed. And now she's back because I'm successful." His expression never changed, but his eyes did. They looked tired, lonely. Everything changed 2 weeks before our contract ended. I accidentally overheard a conversation between Adrian and his lawyer. Once the year ends, the lawyer said, she'll leave. Adrian remained silent, then quietly whispered, I know. There was sadness in those 2 words that shattered my heart, because I realized something terrifying. I didn't want to leave. The final day arrived. The papers were ready. The divorce documents sat neatly on the dining table. Adrian slid them toward me. His voice was calm. You fulfilled your part of the agreement. I nodded. So did you. Neither of us moved. Finally, I picked up the pen. My hand refused to write. A tear landed on the paper. I can't. Adrian looked up. What? I can't pretend anymore. I don't want your money. I don't want the mansion. I don't even care about the contract. My voice broke. I love you. The room fell silent. For several seconds, he simply stared. Then he laughed, not mockingly, relieved, almost emotional. You really broke the only rule. I wiped my tears. So did you. He slowly walked toward me. I broke it months ago. The morning you covered me with that blanket. I realized no one had cared for me without expecting something in return. He gently took the divorce papers, tore them in half. Then again, and again, tiny white pieces floated to the floor like snow. There. He smiled for the first time since we'd met. No more contract. No more pretending. No more rules. I couldn't stop crying. He reached out carefully, giving me every chance to step away. Instead, I threw my arms around him. He held me tightly, as though he'd been waiting an entire year for that moment. 6 months later, we stood in the same garden where our fake wedding had taken place. This time, there were no lawyers, no contracts, no hidden conditions, only family, friends, and genuine promises. The officiant smiled. Do you, Adrian Carter, take Amelia to be your wife? He looked directly into my eyes. This time, he whispered softly, it's forever. I do. When it was my turn, I smiled through happy tears. I loved you long before the contract ended. I do, as everyone applauded. Adrian leaned close and whispered the words that made every hardship worthwhile. The best deal I ever made was accidentally falling in love with my wife. And for the first time in our story, there were no signatures, only hearts that had finally chosen each other.